Today's guest is Melinda Spence. Melinda is a Compass colleague and friend. And we're going to talk about all things North Dallas and North Texas, and perhaps a little bit of real estate too. Welcome to the podcast.
And so one of the guys that's a really good friend of mine, the reason I got into real estate was his assistant made the move to Compass, called and said, hey, our team is making the move to Compass. And we were with the same brokerage. And we had all worked together, networked together. He had really taught me everything I knew. And so he was like, I think you need to talk to the recruiter. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, great, we'll talk to a recruiter. It doesn't hurt.
Strategic growth managers.
Yes, our SGMs. Our SGMs now. And so I was like, great, I'll meet with him. And so met with the recruiter, and he, did an hour and a half presentation on Compass, the vision, their values, what they were about. And for me, I really saw this like thread of what I call servant leadership. It's not a really common term that people use.
No, I'm familiar with it for sure. Yeah.
But that stuck out to me. He never used those words, but I loved just this business model of Compass wanting to provide their agents what they needed to go do their job.
Mm-hmm. So they could serve their clients at a higher level.
Mm-hmm. So that we could serve our clients in a way that set us apart. And so as they served us, we could lead. Yeah. And as we serve others, we actually are leading. And so it really was a little bit of a game changer. At the same time, I was at a place in my business that I knew it was either going to stay kind of status quo, doing the business I was doing, which would be fine, or I was going to grow. And I'm kind of a grower. Like I'm kind of not, my personality isn't like, this is the competition. Great. Yeah. I like to, and I want to learn. Like I want to grow. I want to learn. I'm a teacher by trade. That's what I did before I had my kids.
So are you originally from Dallas?
No, I grew up in East Texas.
Okay. So you are a Texan. You're 100% Texan.
Born in Dallas, raised in East Texas.
Okay. In East Texas, it's, I think, Tyler. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, Rose capital of the world.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so
it's a great place. You were born in Dallas, and then your family moved to Tyler. Mm-hmm. And at some point in your history, you came back to Dallas.
Yes, I did. Went to Texas A&M. And met my husband working in Houston. We were both out of college and working. Okay. And he came to Dallas to go to graduate school. Did he go to A&M too? He did, but we did not meet.
Okay.
Which is
some people don't like to mix colleges in Texas. I find that funny. Like if he had gone to UT, maybe you would have said no.
We would have been a house divided.
Yeah. House divided.
I do have friends that have married.
You feel like they made bad life decisions when they did that?
You just choose your hard, right?
That's fair enough. I have a friend, and he and his wife went to A&M, and half of their kids went to A&M. He has like 5 or 6 A&M shirts, and I swear every time I see him, it's just the same A&M shirt. He's like, no, I have one for each day of the week.
Right, he just rotates them.
Yeah, so you went to A&M, and then you met in Houston.
Yes.
Okay.
And my husband was going to graduate school here in Dallas, and nice. We moved here.
Nice.
And other than a 5-year jaunt that we lived in, we kind of call it our sabbatical to Edmond, Oklahoma. We've been in Dallas.
Oh, how was living in Oklahoma?
I loved it. We both enjoyed it. We could have lived anywhere in the state of Texas. So, the state of Oklahoma, not Texas. And so when we were making the move, our kids were little. They were young. Our oldest was just starting school. And so everybody in Dallas is like, oh, you should go to Tulsa. You need to move to Tulsa because that's the most like Dallas. They have the aquarium. They have really good restaurants. And my husband and I kind of were like, well, do we want another Dallas? Like, is that what we want with this move? And so we were like, I think let's just do something totally different. And so we actually lived in Edmond, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City. Okay. And lived in a neighborhood that all the lots were acre lots, and your money goes a lot farther in Oklahoma than it does here in Dallas, Texas. And so it was great. It was sweet. My kids rode the bus to school. I always tell people that it was like I lived on Wisteria Lane without all the drama. Remember the show?
No.
What was the name of that show? I always want to say Real Housewives, but it's not that. But anyways, there was a TV show years ago where there was, it was everybody on the street were friends. And it was
it was just like that.
Yeah, it was just like that.
But no drama.
No drama. We had coffee. We would just wave our sweet little babies on the bus to school. Would have our coffee or go walk or go exercise. I was living the dream.
Yeah.
I didn't work during that time either. So
you were just mom.
I had been a real estate assistant for my friend for 5 years, took all my classes to become an agent, and then my husband got a job in Oklahoma. So I shelved it all, focused on helping him get settled in a new job, the kids, all of that. We lived there for exactly 5 years, December to December, 5 years, and moved back. And
that was part of the plan, 5 years, or it just worked out that way?
It just worked out that way. We knew for about a year we were moving back, and so that's when I was like, okay, well, we had 1 kid in private school before we moved to Oklahoma. Now we're going to have 4 kids in private school. I'm going to jump back in. My husband and I kind of talked about it, and I was like, what do you think about me jumping back in full-time to doing real estate? And I did. We moved in December. I hit the ground running in January of 2013.
Oh, so you've been a decade in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 in the industry, but a decade.
It's a very interesting business too.
It is.
So when you came back to Dallas, how did you guys think about your relocation back?
In what way specifically?
Well, I mean, how did you pick neighborhood? Like, what was your approach when you moved back here?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. So we had, we lived in Lake Highlands for almost 11 years and had 2 two-story homes.
Okay.
Then we moved to Oklahoma, and the whole time we moved to Oklahoma, I was like, we are not buying another 2-story home. I'm done with 2-story homes. And we bought a brand new 2-story home when we moved to Oklahoma. So by the end of the 5 years, this is how we roll. By the end of the 5 years in Oklahoma, my husband and I were 100% on the same page. We would not be buying a 2-story house. We would be buying a 1-story ranch. And because we had an acre, we were like, if we could get some land, anything, that would be great. I had always loved Northwood Hills. I had always loved the neighborhood. It was not something that was attainable to us at the time when we lived here before.
Okay.
And it was funny, it flip-flopped. Lake Highlands had become very unattainable at the time, 10 years ago. It's still a little bit unattainable for people. But also most of the homes that we needed for the size were 2-story if we wanted any kind of yard.
Right.
So it really eliminated us moving back to that area as much as we loved it. But there was opportunity for us in Northwood Hills, and we bought a ranch, and it's on a 1/2 acre.
Nice.
And are adding on, and it's been great. We love it.
Yeah, so you've been there a decade now.
10 years.
Yeah, so you're like the queen of North Dallas.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do love my neighborhood, and I do represent a lot of people in my neighborhood. Yes.
We've talked about that before.
Yes.
On a different occasion. Yeah, about your neighborhood. So 4 kids.
4 kids, 4 crazy kids.
4 crazy kids. I think senior prom for the youngest was recent.
Senior prom was Saturday night.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I realized I also hosted a 50th birthday party for a friend Saturday night, along with a baby shower, not at my house that morning. So it all tends to hit, April, May.
When it rains, it pours.
All at the same time. But yeah, she had prom Saturday night, and that was super fun. And after hosting the party, we're wrapping up, getting ready to go to bed, and I realized I have no idea where my daughter is. I have no idea what after party she's going to. And then the girls all tend to go they do an after party all together, and then the girls go spend the night at a friend's house, and the guys go spend the night at a friend's house. And it's like 12 o'clock, and I text her. I'm like, hey, so where are you again? And so, and they're never on their phone when you want them to be on their phone, and they're always on their phone when you don't want them to be on their phone.
Hey, focus right now.
So she's with her friends. She's having a great time, so she doesn't need to be on her phone.
Right.
So she responds about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was like up. I'm like, what is this, New Year's Eve? I don't stay up this late.
So this means though that are you going to be an empty nester soon?
She will be a senior in high school. We have 1 more year.
Oh, 1 more year. Okay.
One more year. Yep. And then we'll be empty nester, but they tend to kind of boomerang back a little bit, I think, for a short period of time.
Yeah.
I've got one graduating college in December. I wouldn't be surprised if he spent some time here,
right?
Maybe saving money if he gets a job in Dallas.
And there's so many jobs here too.
Yeah, if he gets a job in Dallas.
That's the crazy thing.
We've kind of said you can live at home for a year to save money, and then.
But the clock will start like, hey, we're going to have this your lease will start on January 1st. And it'll end on December 31st.
Sign here, please.
There's no grace period.
There are holdover costs on this
one. Exactly. Yeah. Like the seller lease, you're like the daily holdover cost will be $250 a day.
That's right. Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. So you came back, got your license, and at some point you started a real estate team.
Yes. I did. Probably about 4 years ago. It was 4 years ago when I came to Compass. Pretty quickly after I came to Compass, a buddy that I had worked with and networked with that was on the team of my friend reached out and was like, hey, I have a friend, a girl that's been in commercial real estate, moved here from Houston with her husband and is looking to, make the change to residential. Right. Are you growing your team? And I had talked about a team. I really wanted it to be pretty organic and, it's just that work-life balance. Like, what does that look like for me as a mom and having kids in high school and graduating and going to college and the timing of all that. But I really do feel like that, it works out organically, and she and I just hit it off. We were very much alike, had kind of the same kind of pace of how we did real estate and what we envisioned it to be. And so it kind of just grew organically from there.
Yeah. And I think that's the trend for the industry too, is towards teams, better customer service, better collaboration for agents.
100%. I think if you are in real estate and you are not on a team or part of a team, your business, you're going to have a lot of challenges in your business. I think as the real estate market changes, it always ebbs and flows. You and I have been in the business long enough to know that it is always changing. There's always some hard aspect to it.
It's like you said, choose your hard. Like it can look different.
And so our team, we are all having, I'm spending a lot of time on the phone with my team members, navigating the challenges of, offers that people are wanting to terminate on, and inspections that are challenging, and different scenarios that I haven't had to deal with before. I know how, just because we've been in the business long enough.
Right. It's like, we're going to workshop through how do we navigate this sticky situation.
Yeah.
It's funny because, 2 years ago or even a year ago, the market was so insane, people would just do it, literally fight each other to get a house. And I don't want to say our job was easy as an agent, because there was a lot more counseling and like comforting and reassuring, and also like a lot of prodding. You're like, you need to bid $100,000 over. Like, you're not even serious if you don't, which was a different kind of hard.
It feels like really foolish professional advice to tell somebody. And I had this conversation recently with a client on a multiple offer situation, because we're seeing it. We're not seeing it everywhere, but we're still seeing it in certain places. I think
it's like 1 in 5, 1 in 8 deals, depending on the city, and still multiple offers.
Yeah, exactly. I told them, I said, it sounds like horrible professional advice, but I need you to discuss what you would like to pay for this home, that if you don't get it, you're not going to be sad.
Right.
So if the house is listed at $500 and you are willing to pay $600 and you see it closes at $610, are you going to say to yourself, well, we would have gone to $625? Because if you would have gone to $625, we're going to $625 today.
Yeah. And are you going to call me just sobbing because you're like, I would have paid that?
Yeah. And that doesn't seem like really professional advice to give somebody. And I think that's where we have to know our clients. We have to know their circumstances. I always tell my clients, I never want them to be sitting in a home that I've helped them buy, drinking their box wine and their mac and cheese because they can't afford it. They can't afford to do anything else,
That's like box wine and mac and cheese.
Yeah,
that's so
who
true.
Wants that?
Yeah, you don't want people to be house poor. You don't want them to be upset about their purchase.
Never.
It's tricky though too, because sometimes first-time home buyers want the perfect house, and you're like, hey, that's not going to exist. You're going to call me in 6 months, and you're going to be like, oh, I wish we would have had this. Even if you bought new construction, you customize it. Oh, I wish we had this closet over here. Like it's just.
Yeah, I think I tell people a lot of times, it's if they're like, I think I want to make this change or that change, depending on what it is. A lot of times I'll encourage them, hey, move in, see how you live. What do you imagine, especially with first-time home buyers? I'm like, imagine yourself living in this home. Imagine, where are the grocery stores? Do you what do you envision your weekend life to be like? Or do you go to restaurants on the weekend, or do you walk your dog and grill out? Like, because that does kind of impact location.
Absolutely.
And where they're going to live. There's just so many layers to helping with relocations, like people coming from out of state. or even really moving from one suburb of Dallas to another.
Yeah, even if you move from North Dallas to McKinney or Prosper, like it's a change. It's different.
Absolutely. I had a client years ago, it was so funny, that lived in University Park and moved to Northwood Hills, so 4 miles north. And she was like, where do you grocery shop? Like, where do you, because it really is a change of trajectory in their minds of like, where do I stand in this neighborhood? And I look to myself a 360, where are my stores and where do I go?
Yeah.
And changing your mindset of what that looks like.
Yeah, I do. This is something that I get frustrated with a lot of buyers is I think they actually overweight the house in their search. And they're like, this house is perfect. And you're like, yeah, but you told me you don't want to commute and you like to go eat out and you don't want to chain restaurants and all these things. And we're like, so we can't live up here. Like, it's not going to, the house is great. You're right. But it's just.
Are you going to drive 30 minutes back in town? Or, you know, or are you going to drive
on a Friday night when you want to go meet your young friends in town, like, do you want to make that drive? Or are they going to, you know, are they great friends? They're going to drive to you? Like, maybe they are.
They're probably not.
But I don't know.
Do you know? I mean, like, the distance is just hard. But it is, I think, at the end of the day, I think all we can do is give our clients all the information on all of that.
Yeah.
And then they have to make the decision. And beyond that, then like it's not that responsible.
Yeah, we're advisors. I think that was a big thing of why I came to Compass is I felt like, or I thought that Compass approach was like, hey, you're providing a service to your clients. You're advising them. Like, we're a professional services firm. More so than like we're going to sell and just convince people to buy. So I really liked that about here and the culture about here. Kind of going back to the earlier part of our conversation.
100%. I feel like it is a definite, like I think everyone on my team, we work really hard for our clients to know, not only, you know, we give them a buyer's guide and we say, hey, listen, this is great information, but we're with you every step of the way through this buyer's guide. And then even after, we want to be your go-to for painters, or if you have an insurance concern with your home, if you need, I mean, anything that is real estate related, design or property taxes, whatever that is.
This time of year it is property taxes.
Maybe not property taxes, but happy to help in any way we can, you know, beyond, so that we do kind of build that relationship with clients.
And that's what's fun too. It's fun when, for me, to get invited back over 6-12 months later and you know, like, oh, come have a drink, and like their house is now home, and like you can see their family and how it's affected them. I find it to be super rewarding part about this business. In between episodes, stay up to date on all things home and lifestyle with my weekly newsletter, Into the Weekend with Matt, where I share the latest real estate updates, new videos from our team, and advice for both buyers and sellers alike. To sign up, go to hastingsre.com/ITW. That's HAISTINGSRE.com/ITW. You mentioned relocation. What's some advice that you would give to people moving to North Texas?
I think that, you know, it all depends on where they're coming from, but it's those same, like, what are your top priorities? You know, where do you, a lot of times if they have kids, it's schools. You first ask, are schools important? Will they be going to public or will they be going to private? Yeah. Then if it's public, what kind of school are you looking for? Big, small, you know, so some people, the schools are really important. And if they're not, they may want location. I had a client move from Oklahoma several years ago and would be working downtown, and he was like, I don't want to drive more than 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't want to drive more than 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. But that's a lifestyle choice. Like, that's important to know.
And so they ended up in Southlake, and his max from their office to downtown is 40 minutes. And that's with a lot of traffic. Yeah. You know, so it's.
So no traffic. It's almost pretty easy.
Yeah. It's a pretty easy.
Southlake is great.
So I think you have to be, I think what's hard is I will always encourage people to buy because our rental rates are so high. And at the same time, what that means for somebody relocating is to really, really, we have to drill down, do due diligence, really make sure that we're not just driving them to these random what do they want? What are they? And then also I tell clients, I'm like, if you tell me you don't want a pool, I'm not going to show you homes with a pool.
Yeah, I need to know if that changes in your preferences.
If that changes at any point in time, I need to know that. You know, if you start sending me homes that have a pool, well, yeah, this home does fit your needs, but it has a pool. So you told me you didn't want a pool.
Yeah.
You know, so some of those
Just
things.
find that funny. You're like,
you know,
did I miss something?
Did I miss
you
criteria?
said very absolutely no way do I want a pool, and you just sent me 4 houses
Right.
that have a pool.
They're really pretty.
Is there something you want to tell me?
Right. If something's changed, I'm happy for us to go see those properties. So I do think I think sometimes agents can miss the boat on really taking the time to listen and hear what it is that people are looking for in a move, whether it's across the country or across town.
Yeah, that's such great advice.
I think listening is a huge piece of it.
Outside of Northwood Hills, right? What are your favorite neighborhoods?
Oh gosh,
for you personally,
for me personally,
for a family, you'd tell them to live there.
Just there.
Just there.
That's right.
Kids, one block.
No other recommendation. I would say anything in what we call the private school corridor.
Okay.
It's like, off of Inwood, and it's Forest, Hockaday. It's where all your private school Jesuit is. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm drawn to the ranches, so Preston Hollow. Preston Hollow has more just straight lines. Your streets are on a quadrant. So I'm a little more drawn to the windy streets with some trees and, and that is the one thing I love about Northwood Hills is that we have creeks. And the streets aren't
coyotes,
all straight.
Right?
We do. We have coyotes.
And rabbits then too.
We have lots of rabbits.
So go together.
And it's a natural aviary pathway. I like to tell people. So we have geese and ducks, and people have baby ducks in their pools, which sometimes makes them happy.
Yeah, sometimes doesn't, I bet.
And sometimes doesn't make them happy. They can do a lot of damage to pools.
Baby ducks. Mm-hmm. So for people that have relocated here, when they come and give you feedback, what are they most surprised about?
I've had a couple relos from California, and they're just so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But
it does make sense.
It does make a little sense. I mean, California is beautiful. I love beautiful. They've got some layers that need to be addressed there.
Yeah.
But they seem really happy to be here. They talk about how friendly we are and how welcoming we are. Mm-hmm.
Somebody just told me that this morning. They came from New York, but they're like, the people here are so friendly. And I was like, yeah, mostly. I was like, people sometimes are in a hurry.
You've been here for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find some that aren't. But generally speaking, I do think that we are a friendly place for people to come and to live and to raise families and be close to other people and enjoy community on some level.
Yeah. It is a huge city, though.
Big.
Which has pros and cons, being a huge city. Mm-hmm. But you can find anything under the sun. So you can find your people if you want to look for that.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I think, neighborhoods have a vibe. You can sense it when you drive through and you spend time, and that's where I always feel like people, you kind of land where you're supposed to land in a home.
It's such a great philosophy.
It all works out, and I tell a lot of like first time home couples who are buying their first home, especially in the multiple offer deal, to try to not ride the emotional train. And so I'll tell them, I use this little funny anecdote of, I always say, you remember that guy or that girl that you really thought you were going to marry? They were the one. And then it didn't work out. Yeah. And now you're with this person here, and you're now going to buy this house. And you realize you dodged a bullet with the other person. That's a little bit like the home buying process when there's multiple offers. Like if you don't get this house, then it's not your house. Yeah. You put your best foot forward, and if you get it, great. If you don't, you move on.
Right.
You end up in the right place.
Some people are devastated.
It is.
Sometimes too, it's funny when the person has a multiple offer and they're close, but they don't get it. Mm-hmm. And then I've had more than once where the seller comes back and says, so the one we took isn't working out. We liked your guys. We should have taken them. And then they end up where they thought they're going to be anyways.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely think right now I'm like, if we have a buyer who doesn't get an offer and the seller is willing to take a backup from us, we're in. Like, I'm like, what are you going to lose $10 to hold a property and potentially get it? It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. So that's. I wanted to ask you about the 2023 market a little bit. So you kind of touched on that a couple times. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about like North Texas real estate this year?
It's still really strong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, and I think, we don't have a crystal ball. We kind of were finishing last year. Interest rates went up. Mm-hmm. Things slowed in the fall. And so we all were like, this will be interesting to see
It has
what
been
happens.
interesting.
And it has been interesting. And I think we always have to, at the end of the day, I'm always like, okay, drill down, compartmentalize. We're always going to have those people in the market that need a bigger house because they've had more kids. You've got people who need to do what I call right size because they're empty nesters and they don't need the 4,000
That's a very nice corporate way to put it. Yes,
4,000
right
square foot
size
home or the 5,000 square foot home
or the 7,000 square foot home with two people in it.
And they probably need to consider one story, most of the living one story without stairs. And so I think that, you're always going to have those people and you're always going to have some relocation. So you have that in the market. And then, for us these last 2 years with interest rates so low, everybody just wanted to jump into the game.
Yeah.
Right. So some of those people have pulled back. But then as we watch our economy, there's so much uncertainty, even, as recently as this most recent bank failure.
Oh, yeah.
That make, if you have any kind of fear-based personality or fear anything, people shut down because they're like, what's happening? The sky is falling, all of that. The reality is, at this point, everybody's kind of normalized that interest rates are 6%.
Right.
Everybody's it's the learning curve to that place it's here. Everybody sees it as the norm. I think we may see some dropping of them, just
of
because
rates.
of rates.
Yeah, I think later in the year maybe we will.
See maybe towards the third quarter, maybe.
Yeah, I think so many people with the uncertainty though, like we're gonna wait, and I'm like, what are we waiting for though? Like, it's like this loosely defined thing in the future that nobody knows what.
Right.
They're going to wait for something.
One of the things we talked about in one of our meetings recently, which I think is super helpful, is to show people just the appreciation of properties that we're even seeing this year.
Yeah, that's kind of going beneath the news cycle is the home prices are going up.
Yeah, they're going up. Like, so, and I try to encourage people, if you're watching Main Street, media as far as like CBS, NBC, the national news, you can't really understand our real estate market based on what they're saying. You really do need an agent in your corner, somebody who understands real estate to really give you an honest picture of what's happening here.
Yeah.
For us.
And all real estate is local. I mean, it's so cliche, but then I see this time and time again. And I personally want to not believe it. I'd be like, no, like the macro trends and all these things. And then it's like, no, all real estate is totally local. Like people will literally go crazy for the home on the certain hole of that golf course because that's the one.
Absolutely.
There's no other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or no, we're willing to pay a lot of money for this house because grandma lives a block over.
Well, we
right?
just had that happen. Just had that. I have these right-sizing little sweet family are coming here from Houston. They want to be. They walked into this house. They said it was 1:48 from grandbaby, and they were like, "We want this house."
Yeah.
And we will pay to get it.
What do we need to do?
They did.
Yeah.
And they did.
And it's worth it for them, right? Like it's totally worth it.
It's worth their
goals. That's the part about that's the lifestyle factor we talked about. That they can't put a price on that sometimes.
No, you can't. No, absolutely. And I think for some people in certain neighborhoods like Northwood Hills, your homes that are very open floor planned, more traditional, are going to go really quick. You've got a more modern, transitional type home. They're not going as quickly. So it's an interesting, so I think with a normalizing market, whatever term people want, I don't think there's a correction. I don't think there's a slow.
It doesn't feel like a correction with prices going up.
Right. I think that, and that's because people are like, oh, are you seeing the slow? Or are you? And I'm like, I don't really know what the word is other than like a normalizing of things.
Feels like 2019 to me.
Yeah. It's just kind of back to normal. And so we have to really look at all the aspects of when we list home. I've got some 2 more luxury higher end properties right now. Really looking at all the data, all the insights. Where are people, who's going to buy that home? Right. So it's not just about me listing it, marketing
Who's our buyer?
You can market a house all day long, but if I'm not marketing it to the people that will actually buy it, then that's not actually helping anyone. And so we started a big campaign to really target people that are actually going to potentially buy the property. And we're getting some good feedback digital feedback from a digital ad. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely changed in the last decade too, is what we can do with digital. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit more about neighborhoods. Okay. Like we were talking about Northwood Hills. Yeah. And North Dallas was where it is. Yep. What are your favorite hotspots?
Oh gosh. There's a lot of hotspots I love. I'm a foodie, so restaurants are always kind of at the top of my list of where, different restaurants that I like to go to. Anybody that knows me knows that Macero is my go-to. Okay. My husband and I tend to be there on Friday. It might be for lunch day.
No, which one though? Because there's more than one.
Beltline in Addison.
Oh, okay.
Because it has the patio.
Yeah.
And it overlooks the golf course. So you don't really feel like you're in Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Cheers for us. It's like, it's like where everybody knows your name,
I went to Torchy's recently on a Friday night and sat at the bar, and I realized, all these people know each other. Right? I'm not part of the crowd, but they all know each other.
That's their go-to. So we love that. We love Brentwood opened up there. It's a Vandalay restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Also on Beltline.
Okay.
We love to do that, and we'll shoot down to Preston Center. Mm-hmm. I haven't been there in a while, but I love Il Bracco. It's an Italian restaurant.
Yeah, with some teams. Got some team events there. It's fun.
Yeah, really good. I'm trying to think what else. We kind of can get boring. Lockwood Distillery is one of my favorites right now.
Multiple people told me about this, and I haven't been yet.
Yeah, so
it's over off 75, right?
Right,
like on the edge of Dallas and Richardson.
It's on 75, and right there on the corner. And Sally and Evan Batt are the owners.
Okay.
And Sally actually was in real estate, and it was her very first transaction. I had the buyer.
Oh, wow.
She had a listing, and
that's funny.
I represented the buyer on it. But they are incredibly talented with distilling all kinds of alcohol.
Yeah.
Like liquors and
interesting.
fun different flavors. But they have live music, and it's fun. It's a fun place it's right next door to Communion Coffee, which a lot of people like as a place to go. There's also a little barbecue place there.
1050?
Well, everybody loves 1050.
I know. That's one of my favorite spots.
On the other side. Yeah. Yes. Yep. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So it's on the
east side of 75. On the east side of 75.
Okay. Yeah.
It is. I'm trying to think, though, hotspot wise, one that in the summers is when I tend to kind of like branch out from my go-to places. So Meridian at the Village is the new where the apartment complex is the Village, where that's where everybody, when they got married, in the 90s.
I read an article about this recently, and I wasn't super familiar with it, but the article talked about the history of it, and some people have lived there for decades and decades. And
for so long. And it's kind of hidden. It's right off 75 and Northwest Highway.
It's a great location.
In there is a hotel now with lots of restaurants, and they're really fun.
Wow, okay.
The other one would be Walnut Hill Village, the Hill, they call it the Hill at Walnut Hill in 75.
You're so hip. I don't know these places.
And there's also a Macero on the west side of Walnut Hill in 75. I know where all of them are. But on
there's
the
one
east
up
side,
here too.
Yeah, there is the Legacy West one, right? And that's I love that shopping center.
Legacy West?
I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
We actually do Christmas shopping with 2 other couples. And so in December, we come up here, we stay Legacy West. We spend the night hotel.
Oh, that's fun.
And we do a ton of Christmas shopping.
Yeah. And then you're done.
And we're done. We knock it out. Have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've gotten to be lazy with Christmas shopping. So
you do it online?
I do it online typically. And I always joke that I'm Uncle Scrooge in the family because I blew up Christmas. I'm like, hey, look, adults, we're not doing gifts anymore. Like, all of you have everything you want. You buy yourselves what you want. Don't buy me anything. I'm not buying you anything. But the kids, it's fine. We'll just do that. Yeah. And it's way more fun because they're young.
I feel like it's changed. It's so, because the kids are so they're so specific about what they want. They have this, and I'm like, hey, like, what in the world? Like, and so a lot of times when the grandparents ask or whatever, I'm like, just give them money.
Yeah.
Just give them some gift cards to XYZ.
I always don't want to do that. This is where I get I was like, no, I want something that's custom that I thought through for you. But then, they just would have had the money.
And sometimes they'll say, if they, my kids sometimes will say, I would love this,
Yeah. So anyway, I digress. But the Christmas tradition at Legacy West, a lot of good spots there. Legacy West just always blows my mind because it's so high end.
Right.
And I think it's reframed everybody's thinking about up north here, like in Plano and Frisco.
Yes.
To have all these luxury stores and high-end brands. And I always joke that you'll go there and you'll see tons of luxury cars. And I'm like, I don't see these people driving around regular. I don't see them on Preston Road.
Where are they?
Yeah, where did they come from? Did they drive from far away, or were they just, this was, they felt good about driving their luxury car here because this is a luxury spot?
I feel like there is a luxury vibe in parts of Frisco and Plano and those people. I think that is where they're going to shop.
That's the hub now.
That's the hub of where they're going. Whereas before it was there, people or North Park. Where else would I go? Everybody would drive in. I mean, growing up in Tyler, you went to Dallas to go shopping. I mean, that's
that's how it was. I grew up in a small town, and we would drive to Redding,
the big city,
California. We would drive down there an hour away, which is probably about the same as Tyler, hour and a half, right?
Hour and a half.
And we would go shopping at the mall. It was still not a big city, but not like Dallas.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not like the North Park Mall or anything like that. I mean, we just had stores. That's where we did the back to school shopping, right? We'd go there.
It's interesting to watch how all of that has changed over the years. Valley View was also, you had the Galleria and you had Valley View Mall, and that was all. And then you began to see some of these changes being made. Valley View is being, bulldozed as we speak.
Is it? I kind of lost track of that development because I was excited about it, and then it seemed like it's kind of been redone a few times.
It has. So there's a lot of discussion because that the original plans, and I need to go back and really re-educate myself on where it is now because, like you said, this was a project that started so long ago, and then it was stalled. You had a lot of investors. I think somebody pulled out, and then
and then the city tax credits and AMC sued to keep their. It's so weird. The whole
right, and so we actually went to the movie theater when the rest of the hotel was closed. It was like $4 to go to the movie. And you really thought you were in a bad movie, like going to the movie theater.
Yeah.
You could see out the second floor at
and
the
there's
end,
nothing
and
there.
there's just air at the end of the hallway. But we would just get on the escalator, go up to the movies.
Yeah.
And the popcorn was still good. So
of course.
Then they did.
The movie
they
did
did
too.
close down. But I do believe there's some discussion around what exactly is that project going to look like. It's always been, hey, shopping, some living spaces above it, like an uptown West Village or Knox Henderson area.
Right.
Even Walnut Hill at 75 has eating and then living above it, luxury apartments and that kind of thing. There's been discussion about what exactly that will look like with the city and who's pushing for what.
A lot of interests that are part of this.
There's a lot of interest in that.
But your point was Valley View Mall was probably the it place
it was
when
one
you
of
were
the
coming here from
places
Tyler.
To go. Like you hit them all. I mean, like North Park, Galleria, and Valley View, and now they all really
are totally different.
Look very different. Valley View's gone, and then you've got Galleria still. There's a lot. Obviously, COVID affected so much in that as far as stores that shut down. But I do know the plans that they had in the Valley View, that the trail would connect to Northwood Hills, and there's the trail that goes all from Northwood Hills goes all the way to White Rock Lake.
Oh, wow.
So you can literally, if you're a cyclist, which we see them all the time in our neighborhood, on a Saturday, they hit that trail and they go all the way down to White Rock Lake.
That's a cool amenity.
Come back.
Yeah. So a lot of redevelopment. I mean, I'm bullish on the future for Dallas and what we're going to see.
Yeah.
What do you wish I would have asked you in this podcast?
I don't know. What do you wish you would have asked me? Do you have a question you didn't ask me?
I think I asked the questions I was going to ask you. I like to ask. We have an off-the-record question.
Do we have an off-the-record question? Don't listen to anybody. I'm just kidding.
No, I like to ask a lot of guests that. Just to see. Well, let's hear.
I've always said, I think it's funny. I don't really listen to podcasts. And so this is the joke. I'm like, I listen to music in my car.
Yeah.
And I think we are talking constantly. Like we're always on the phone with people and we're always, like we're communicating. So when I'm in the car, I just listen to music. And when I talk to my friends, they're listening to podcasts in their car.
Right.
And I just sometimes don't know if I have the mental bandwidth to like talk, and then like listen to all these more talking. But I laugh because I'm like, I want a podcast. Yeah. Or I want to be on a podcast.
Well, are we your first stop?
Yes.
Well, thank you for being a guest. I'm so flattered that
on my podcast
you're
tour.
Our first. I know. We'll have to circle back and see your other podcast tours. I'll come up with some ideas for you. I'll work on that.
Maybe I'll do Mel's podcast tour. That'll be my.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Send out your media kit to everybody. I'm available for podcast bookings.
Pick a topic, any
That
topic.
would be fun. So what's next for you in 2023?
Oh gosh, 2023.
Almost midway through the year.
Midway through the year, we are getting ready to, we've got a lot of closings in May. We probably are going to have a record as far as closings. I'm not sure production-wise numbers. I haven't looked at the numbers, but we have, I believe, 8 or 9 properties closing.
Wow, which is 8 or 9 families helped.
Yeah, exactly. And we love it. And they're first-time home buyers. We've got
That's a lot of fun.
We've got a couple. He's, his residency he's out of medical school. His residency is starting. They're moving to Dallas. We've got another young couple that we beat out on multiples, which I love for young couples.
The competitive person, you're like, we won.
We won it. And they actually are, they're a young couple. They don't have a lot of friends and they want friends. And they're literally buying down and across the street from another couple I helped buy who are darling. And,
so you can make some connections in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you can make some connections with people. But we as a team, when we finish this, it kind of clears our board. Okay. Our visual board in our office will be relatively cleared with the exception of a couple other properties. So I always do a summer challenge with my team. Yeah, we always do some sort of how many new clients do you want by the end of the summer? Yeah. And we know we need to have
a summer sprint.
Yeah, we need to know we have 50 touch points. That typically the data would show.
Right, yeah.
50 touch points.
I feel like you're inspiring me to have a summer challenge for our team too.
Well, we make it fun and then, it's everybody. I think too, we look at, vacations and, how many weeks are you actually going to work in the summer? If you travel or, I take a lot of time off in July.
Oh, nice.
Which I think for us, real estate can be 24/7 and we can beat ourselves up for taking time off, which is weird. And so I really am in a season and I feel like, hopefully my team is learning from my mistakes of doing things, early on that I probably didn't work-life balance really well as I was growing my business. But now the benefit for them of being on a team is that they can have that work-life balance.
Hopefully they don't have to make the same mistakes.
Right. And they can we can cover each other and, which we do when we go on vacation. We cover each other and make sure that we have each other's backs. But we look at how many weeks are we realistically going to work and what can we do during those weeks to reconnect with people that we haven't had time to reconnect with. It's typically fun things.
Yeah, that's great.
That
everybody's a little more lighthearted in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and of course,
for sure.
It's hot here, so
everybody leaves in July.
Yeah, that's why you're leaving. Mm-hmm. Where are you going? Somewhere fun?
We usually go to Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we usually go to Cabo and spend 3 nights, 4 days, just kind of getting away.
That's not significantly cooler.
No, it's really not. Everybody typically goes to Colorado.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting to hear.
Yeah, Texas people go to Colorado, but I just like to lay by the pool and
that sounds pretty great.
And relax. And we won't have any kids home for the summer except the youngest, and she'll be at camp. So
there you go.
That's kind of our July routine. Our family goes on vacation for a week in July.
Okay.
Kid goes to camp, and then my husband and I go on vacation.
Got it. There you go. And then
that's our routine.
And then back to school in August because we start school so early here.
And you hit the ground. You hit the ground running.
Rested and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Definitely trying.
Well, I want to wish you a great summer.
Thank you.
Much prosperity for the rest of 2023.
Yeah. No.
Thank you for being a guest. I'm flattered that we're your first podcast on your tour.
Oh, I love it.
And if our audience wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
The best way would be melinda.spence@compass.com.
Okay,
or
so email.
Email. You can find me at melspence.com is my website.
Very nice.
And has pretty much any way you need to get in contact with me is there.
Perfect. Yeah, so awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been so great.
Awesome.
Have you been thinking about moving to North Texas? Maybe you're looking in Plano, Dallas, Frisco, or the surrounding communities. Each year, our team helps dozens of families make the move to Texas. We'd love to help you begin your journey. Learn more on our website at hastingsre.com. That's HAISTINGSRE.com.